Therapy garden. Maybe! Oh my gosh, Zach. I did not expect to talk about gardening. This is really just kind of going very naturally. Okay, back to the Dikes in Holland. You're laughing more than me now.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to Coffee with Zach. I am Zach Hathaway, your host, and today I am joined with two very special guests.
I am Nicole Hoste-Breslin. I kept both of my names. It's much easier. Been married for a long time. I'm the development director here at Family Promise of Genesee County, and we're happy to see Zach. We haven't seen Zach in forever. It's nice to be with him today.
Oh goodness, did you guys have to talk about her YouTube on your...
He created my channel name.
Oh.
Today's show notes are going to be on our website. The show notes are where you're going to find the most in-depth analysis of today's show. As always, we just request a nice review, and if you're listening or watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share with all your friends, all that fun stuff. That bell icon keeps you notified whenever we upload a new conversation. Without further ado, let's just jump right into the show. We've got a lot to talk about today.
My husband keeps teasing me about starting my own YouTube channel for gardening. And I follow a lot of gardeners, and one of the ones that I follow the closest, she actually wears a mic. And it's funny because I don't look as put together as she does when I'm gardening. Usually my hair is either up or I have a hat on, but I just can't imagine, and I have 1/10 of the size of the yard that she does, and she just looks just amazing all the time. And she goes, you can see the little mic pack in her jeans pocket in the back, and I'm like, I appreciate your gardening skills, and I appreciate that you look nice. I've been watching her for a while. They live in Eastern Oregon.
Oh, okay, way out there.
Way out, and it's interesting. Same zone as us, but completely different climate. Completely.
What is the climate like out there?
So they call it a high desert, and that means that it is desert-like in that they only get 9 inches of rain a year. However, they get full seasons, so spring, summer, fall, winter.
Right.
We're a gardening zone 6A. We used to be a 5, and now we're a 6 because of climate change. But she's about 2-3 weeks ahead of us because she's been putting things in the ground, whereas we can't do that.
Can't do it
because
yet.
we just had frost last night, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it was 31.
Yeah, wasn't it snowing last week?
Well, and we had snow, but even last night, 31, you can't put stuff in the ground yet.
Yeah, for the record, this is May 1st, and we had snow last week and frost last night.
Right.
So we'll just put that into perspective.
For sure.
So I guess we kind of just jumped right
into that. We totally did
that.
just jump right in. You said we would.
Yeah. So that was the organic conversation part of this whole Coffee with Zach thing. So we're talking about gardening. You mentioned garden zones. What are garden zones? I didn't know those existed. I thought people just... this is going to show exactly how uneducated I am on the subject of gardening.
Well, it's my hobby.
Yeah.
In addition to golf, but they both happen in the summer, so they both take an equal amount of my time. So the whole United States is broken up into growing zones.
Okay.
And the further north you are is Zone 1. So if you're up near the Canadian border, it's cold. You have a small. You still have seasons, but they're smaller. So the country is divided by zones from top to bottom, and it's how cold tolerant a plant would be, and whether or not it would survive through the winter, especially if it was a perennial or something like that.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to do with exactly how far north or south geographically you are.
It does have to do, yes, absolutely.
It does.
It does have to do with how far north or south.
But also how likely the plant is to survive through the winter.
So the plant is rated for a growing zone, if you will. So most plants are rated a 3 through a 7. But for example, if you live in the far south, around here right now we have lots of tulips, and we had hyacinth and daffodils and things like that. Those are very difficult to grow in the south because they need a cold gestational period for about 16 weeks to actually be below 30 degrees. And it helps the bulb actually create enough energy to produce the bloom. And in the...
I had no idea.
You can't do that before. So you have to so gardeners in southern states actually purchase them and put them in the freezer or in a refrigerator until they can plant them in the ground. Isn't that crazy? So
they freeze the bulbs.
because they need that cold snap. Because most bulbs, I think almost all bulbs, come from a very specific region in Holland. I'm going to geek out on you for a second. I just watched a documentary about how Holland, and I want to say back in the 1800s, they are a very landlocked country.
Okay.
And they wanted more land. And so they actually created levees and dikes and other drainage systems so that they could drain the ocean away and create more land for their country. And in doing so, what was that? What's that? Are you serious? Oh, sweet mother of Pete. Okay, back to the dikes in Holland. Might have to edit that too, because I don't mean it like that. You know, the earth moving. You're laughing more than me now. So I was talking about bulbs in Holland. Anyway, by draining the sea away, it created the right type of soil. And that's why, that's actually I think their biggest, like exported good. And they go all over the world. It's like $32 billion a year, I think. I think that's what the documentary said. Something crazy.
That's a lot.
It is. So.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I feel like we should have like cut.
I need one of those
One of those
clappers.
clappers.
Yeah.
That's right, clappers. Cut. Because I really have looked into starting a channel just because my husband thinks what I do is crazy. And he's always like trying to get me help like in the summertime because I do have 2 jobs. I refuse to let people come. Like we have people that mow the lawn, but that's it. And I do everything else. And last year, in preparation for this year, I had a guy come and help me dig up this bed, which had been overgrown and whatnot, and I needed more help than what I could do on my own. But the couple of kids that came to help, all they did was whine about doing it. I'm right there with them working, and it was hotter than heck. I brought, water out for them. I kept saying, like, every 20 minutes, like, take a break. I don't want you guys to get heat stroke. But then in between, I would expect you to work. I was paying them money, right? So I wanted them to actually, like, work. And I'm right there with them. It's not like I'm standing around sucking on a beer or something. And all they did was complain the whole entire time. And I was like, you guys are just a bunch of whiny little brats. Like, I can't take it. I said, I am right here with you doing this. I could totally understand if you were, if I was a jerk or something like that. I'm like, but I take care of this whole yard by myself. And I said, and you're just making me angry. You got to go. Like, take off. I can't handle it. Like, you're stressing me out. And this is supposed to be, like, this is like my hobby. Like, I don't want you to make me dislike what I'm doing here. I realize it's 100 degrees. It's hot. I get it. I'm not dumb. But take a break. Don't be a whiny little brat about it. I did not expect to talk about gardening. This is really just kind of going very naturally. I started a bunch of stuff inside so that it would be taller when it was finally safe to plant outside. So I have a quarter of my office at home that is full of seedlings.
Full of plants.
Yes. Well, some of them are, like I started several from seed. I'm going to do like 10 different variety of sunflowers. And those are all about yay tall right now. And then dahlias, which those have to be planted and then dug up in the fall because they won't make it. The sunflowers are seeds, and when you're done, you can harvest the seeds for next year, but it's just a one-time kind of deal. They don't come back. Yeah, we have like this whole little section. Actually, it's quite a large section. It is a large section. My husband was not prepared for it. Yeah, no, it's a pretty big section. A pretty big section. So, if it hadn't been 31 last night, I was contemplating putting them in the ground tomorrow, but it's not happening.
So a surprise gardening segment.
Right.
So when is this YouTube channel coming?
I don't know.
You could start it with your iPhone.
I know. I've thought about that.
Just, hey, what's up, you guys? It's
right.
Nicole here.
Mm-hmm.
Out planting a garden.
Mm-hmm. Out.
I don't know how you would
digging up a tree. Yeah, that's the well, and I guess that's what I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable, but I don't feel like I'm as knowledgeable as the people that I follow. You know,
don't have
like
to be knowledgeable. All you have to do is just vlog what you're doing.
true. That is true.
Somebody will watch it.
Somebody might. That's very, very true. That is. Very
How do you think they got started?
Right? Very true. Very, very true. That's a very good point. I don't know. We'll see.
If you had to start a channel, what would it be named?
Oh,
what would
gosh.
you call this channel?
Mm.
We're coming up with YouTube names.
Oh, goodness. That is a really... See, now that makes it real that you're asking me to even consider what would I name it. I don't know. I've really not thought about that at all.
Would it be like a pun on gardening, or would it be something more like casual?
It would probably be more something kind of flippant because my husband likes to take credit for my work occasionally. For example, he helped me weed and re-sand the brick pavers on our patio last week. And I'm sure he's going to be cashing in on that for many months to come, how he single-handedly made the garden look beautiful in the backyard. Maybe I would do something like 1,000 bulbs at a time or something like that. I planted 1,000 bulbs last fall. Between my front yard, I did a bunch of container pots with tulips and hyacinth and daffodils.
Do you have any
and
pictures?
Stuff. I do.
I
Mostly
planted-
take them because I need to know where they are if I want to move them. I didn't pair the right colors together in some instances, and some of them didn't come up at the same time as the rest, and that's the situation. I wanted everything to come up at the same time. Some things by nature come first, like certain
That makes
bulbs
sense.
bloom in March, end of March, and then staggered, on and on.
Yeah.
But
When you go to these big fancy gardens and all of that,
mhm.
like, I don't know, these big fancy estates, how do they make all of those gardens look like everything came up at the same time?
Yeah, they have a staff of,
The staff,
of a lot
okay.
of people.
I didn't know if they just planted
They
the right
do.
things and it just looked
No,
good.
there
or
is
I don't know.
there is a certain method to that actually, which is why I've taken so many pictures, because I will need to pull pull some things out and just kind of flip flop space wise. And there's no label on the bulb. It's just, it would be like that, right? And there's no label on the bulb, and you wouldn't know once the bloom is gone what color it is.
Oh, so you have to be strategic about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really do.
Ooh.
You really, really do.
That's tough.
And like
It's
some
like a-
things come up in March, some things come up early April, mid-April, May,
Right.
mid-May, and on and on and on. So a good garden is not that everything comes up at once, but that everything has a season and things are staggered properly so that
Okay.
something is always in bloom. So if you went in April or you went in July,
So that might be how they do
it would. Hmm. Yeah, it takes time though. I've been working on it for a few years. Like getting my garden to
Yeah.
do that sort of thing.
With your garden, do you plant like more flowers? Or do
Only
you...
flowers.
Only flowers.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
grow. I don't
So you don't
grow
grow,
a
like,
lot.
food?
I don't grow food. No, my husband doesn't eat. Like I would grow tomatoes.
Okay.
I grow some herbs, mint and rosemary. But I would grow tomatoes, but I'd be the only one eating them. The lady that I follow that lives in Oregon, she actually does grow a lot of food, and not only does she. They've made they have a really cool root cellar so that they can keep things through the winter. They also give things away to their local shelters, and they do, a lot of work in their community, which is definitely very cool. And I know that I feel like there's a couple programs in Flint, the Edible Garden, and I don't know who runs that, but they do that, and they also get kids that might not otherwise be exposed to that, interested
They get them into garden.
doing that sort of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah. One of my very good friends is a first grade teacher, and back before when we all could gather properly, I would go and help with different projects, and it would always be surprising to me when we would do pumpkin carving, because some children have never seen a pumpkin before.
That never occurred to me.
Right, for sure, because
Yeah.
your upbringing was that you probably carved pumpkins when you were little with your siblings and your mom and your dad and whatnot, and maybe your grandma and grandpa were involved. I mean, who knows? My family was close like that, so I mean, pretty sure my grandparents were probably in the background while we were doing that. But yeah, some kids that's not an experience that they've had. So they're doing it in school for the first time, and it's interesting to watch that happen. So
I guess if you've never seen a pumpkin before, I don't know what your reaction to seeing a pumpkin for the first time would be, but I can imagine that would be
because they're kind of
sight to
slimy
see. Yeah,
on
they're gross.
Yeah,
ugh.
Right.
I hate pumpkins.
Well, and so like we would clean them out, right,
Yeah.
and save the seeds, and then my friend would take the seeds home and actually wash them and salt them and put them in the oven and bring them back the next day, because it's really like a multifaceted learning experience for a first grader. That is completely applicable to science in school. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
If I had more space, I might grow food and then just share, because just with Family Promise, I mean, I have a lot of connections with all of the churches that support us, that I could be like, here you go.
Hey, here's a pumpkin.
Yeah, or here are a bunch of squash or some cucumbers or what have you, and if you're hosting this week, you could maybe incorporate this into a meal for a family, something like that. So yeah, but mostly right now my focus is purely flowers.
Okay.
And purely for my own enjoyment. I love flowers. And it's good therapy.
Fair enough. Ooh. So you mentioned grandparents being involved.
Yes.
My grandparents also garden. They grow more food, though.
Okay.
My grandma has flowers around her house, but they have a big garden in their backyard. When I was little, they did not grow pumpkins. They went and bought a bunch of pumpkins and placed them in the garden to make me think they grew a bunch of pumpkins.
Very cool. Okay.
And then we went out in the pumpkin patch, and I picked my pumpkin and carved it. So,
Aww.
but I thought that was the most real
very cool
pumpkin patch I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my pumpkin.
What kind of
story.
food did they grow?
Just about anything. They've grown cucumbers, green beans. I want to say they've grown spinach before.
Oh yes.
Maybe. Tomatoes. Lots of tomatoes. And we started kind of getting into community involvement.
Oh, right, the edible garden.
Gardening. Yeah.
Yes. I wish I could remember who actually does that, because I think that long term, just given my history and all of the volunteering that I've done throughout the course of my life, I think that I would want to mentor kids that way.
Okay.
We had an edible garden here, I want to say my first year. We started that for our families that were in shelter with us, because I mentioned that it's like therapeutic, and it really, really is very therapeutic. It is something about, for some folks, working with soil, the physical demands, the physical labor of what is going on. It's a super great stress reliever. Kind of forces you to do yoga and the high intensity interval training. It's like all wrapped up into one, because you just never know what.
Like you're bending down.
Oh, for sure. You're bending, you're lunging, you're I just dug up some big clumps of grass, and so then I'm trying to get the dirt loosened from the root ball so I can pick it up and carry it. So you're hitting it repeatedly, trying to loosen the dirt and shaking it. It's like, but you would do those things in the gym, right, with a medicine ball, or if you were, in a yoga class or something like that. So there are a lot of very therapeutic benefits to gardening, in addition to the finished product that is beautiful.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to touch on. It was the therapeutic
side of it,
of gardening. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up again.
Yeah,
because it was slipping my mind there for a second.
Yeah,
so.
And that if I did start a channel, I probably would, because that would be organic to me. I mean,
it does seem I
hadn't
heard that really
bringing that in
much.
That component into to getting kids involved and away from computers. Or don't get me wrong, I love them. I can geek out with the best of them. However, there's good reason to put music on and go out and be in the world.
Yeah.
So
The Therapy Garden.
it is. It's funny because
That's the channel name.
Therapy Garden, maybe. Oh my gosh, Zach. Oh goodness.
I'm 2 for 2, you
Oh,
guys.
my
2
goodness.
for 2, 2 episodes in a row.
Oh my goodness. My husband will not be happy that I'm going to start a channel now because I'm going to go home and just keep thinking about it. There was a lady walking down my street. It was early, probably early April. Every time I'm outside, as people are walking by, they're like, oh my God, we can't wait. Oh my God, we're so excited. We're so excited. Do you mind if we take pictures? No, it's okay. You're out here all the time. Yep, I know. So that part has been kind of cool.
Does everybody kind of know you in the neighborhood then?
Yeah, now I think just because like oh, you're the tulip lady. Oh, you're the lady that has all the hydrangeas. Oh, you're the so it just kind of depends because I've really been. It's probably been like 4 years that I really have been tinkering. Would you say the name was? Therapy Gardener? Is that what you said?
The Therapy Garden.
The Therapy Garden. Goodness. Zach. I don't need another job.
YouTube isn't supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be fun.
I know.
And it's also supposed to pay you.
Well.
Eventually.
Eventually. Eventually.
So that was our gardening segment.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about something else?
You said you played golf.
I do play golf.
Do you want to talk about golf?
We can talk about golf.
I attempted to play golf for a while.
And no luck?
I was an amazing golfer, okay?
Well, you were? Tell me about that. No? Okay.
I'll tell you about it with the lens cap on. That's what we'll do.
I did not play golf when I met my husband. And he said, do you play golf? And I'm like, I own clubs. And he's like, that doesn't mean much. A lot of people own clubs. I'm like, yeah, I own clubs. He's like, have you ever swung them? I said, yeah, once. It was very hard to transition into learning how to play golf because I was an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I think most sports are best learned when you're small.
Yeah.
I think that conceptually, not everyone teaches the way people learn. And that was an interesting journey, if you will. So I used to play golf with my 7-iron the entire way around the course because I had a hard time swinging my driver. And I went to a couple of lessons, and they were men, and they don't have the same anatomical parts that women do. And so it was very difficult for them to understand the difficulties that I was having in swinging a golf club. And I went to a lady pro probably 10 or 12 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And within like the first 3 swings, she's like, okay, we need to change 3 things. She said, whoever told you how to hold the golf club was wrong, and they didn't understand how they should teach you how to do that. And so she taught me how to do that. And then the other thing was my hands are small, and holding the club, a lot of people will grip the club and they will link their 2 fingers together.
I'm trying to think of how I...
A lot of people do. I used to, but my hands are too small to facilitate that because they just barely fit around the club. And when you link them together, it made me not hold on to, so then I was only holding on to the club with 3 fingers. So now I have kind of like a modified baseball grip. I went from being what I would consider to be a pretty bad golfer with a very high handicap down to an okay golfer with a decent handicap. And it took like a year, I would say, and it's kind of worked out good because now we go on a bunch, when we do travel, we go like specifically to places and play golf, and golf courses are beautiful. I mean, they're in some very beautiful locations. Not only is the green gorgeous, but a lot of times like really nice golf courses are very meticulously manicured from a gardening perspective too, and so I really appreciate them. I appreciate the ocean view. I appreciate the
everything.
The green. Yeah, they're stunning. Some of them are just absolutely just stunning.
I'm not that big of a golfer. In fact, I haven't been golfing and it's been a while. But I I think my biggest problem was definitely the grip. It still doesn't feel like...
It's not a natural thing to do with your body,
It feels
really.
weird.
It isn't. Yeah, it's totally not a natural thing. It's probably one of the most unnatural things to do.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Yeah, I think I did the thing where you link your fingers together. I don't know, maybe my hands are a little bit bigger. Maybe my problem's that I just suck. Who knows?
I kind of think of it like this. Like, you would need... Before I met my husband, I didn't really have a reason. Like, I did other things. Like,
Yeah.
I love swimming, and, I would snorkel a lot on vacation and stuff like that. And I was perfectly content to do those things. But golf was such a big part of his life that I didn't want to be one of those wives that, oh, my husband's golfing all the time. So, I mean, now it's something I do with my girlfriends.
So you took on his hobby, now it's your hobby too.
Mm-hmm. It really, yeah, it is. Yeah, he will not take on the gardening hobby. I can guarantee you that. That is never going to happen. I'm okay with that. The first year we lived in our house, he was in charge of the roundup, and he killed a bunch of stuff in one section. And I'm like, what'd you do? Oh, I used all of this. And I'm like, the whole bottle? Like, that's not okay. Yeah, so he's not allowed to use it. It's dangerous. Like, no thank you, sir. Why did you play golf? Like,
I had some friends in high school who were, like, on the golf team and everything, so we would just go out to the driving range, and sometimes we'd go out and, play golf on the weekends, so it was never anything competitive or anything.
So, and you probably didn't have, like, any formal instruction.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
no. Not at all.
It's not like running. Like, I feel like running, like, if you wanted to all of a sudden decide to be a runner, like, you could do some research about it, how to be healthy.
You can learn how to run.
Yeah, you can learn how to run. You could buy the right sneakers. Even if you didn't run, if you were going from couch potato to runner, there are all sorts of ways, things that can help you that are somewhat intuitive. Golf is not an intuitive... It's like learning how to use Adobe. You need a coach for that.
Yes.
You need a coach.
Yes, you do.
You need a
My
coach.
editing friends know that.
You can't just sit down in front of Adobe and be like, shh, and voila. Nay, nay.
So maybe I'll get a golfing coach.
Okay.
I should probably find my clubs first. Been since quarantine started, at least.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised because golf is up, like, astronomically. Rounds are up. That was the very first thing that we did. It's a great exercise. I mean, really, even if you're riding in a cart, it's still usually pretty good exercise.
Yeah.
Walking the course is even better and really, like, walking and playing is actually so good for you because it slows your pace and tempo. I think sometimes when you're in a cart, the propensity to go fast happens.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas when you're walking, you're not like, I mean, I guess you could totally make it a super cardio workout. And I have seen people do that. Take just a few clubs and run in between. Actually, there was a super athletic friend of ours that used to do that, and he would come late in the evening and had like 3 clubs with him in a tiny little bag, and he would totally would hit the ball and he'd jog or run depending upon.
That's
really cool,
yeah.
right? I mean, that's a really cool
workout.
Absolutely. And I would be more inclined to do something like that. I mean, I'm not really. I love gardening for that reason because you do get a full workout in. I'm much more likely to do that than go run on a treadmill. Like, I just don't like to do that sort of thing.
Well, I don't like running on a treadmill either. That's,
right.
To me, it's boring.
Yes. But anyway, so golf was really, really up. I mean, everywhere. I think at our club that we belong to, almost 200%.
Wow.
Rounds up. Like, people that they haven't seen in years because it was like the one safe thing.
Like, what else should we do? Let's go
right,
golfing.
Right. I mean, because like we were talking about before, we are inherently social creatures, and we do better when we are around people, and you get to share your experiences. And I mean, a lot of times that's how people learn and grow in life in general, right? Like, you learn from people around you and your experiences and things like that. And when you're stuck at home quarantining, you miss out on all of that. Yeah. So I use an app for yardage, and that goes to my watch.
That's cool.
Which is nice.
Does it like track your
GPS? Yeah.
Okay.
So it shows like the distance from wherever I am standing on the course to the front of the green, the middle of the green, the back of the green.
Oh.
So, which is helpful
Yeah.
because then, it might be the difference between a 9-iron and a 6-iron,
Yeah.
which those two clubs would go to very different distances.
Mhm.
If you're competitive, which I may or may not have been known to be on occasion, you would want to choose the right one. Otherwise, you might not get a good score, and that might make you angry. Or at least completely bummed out. One of the two.
I sense some talking from experience here.
Yeah. Usually I'm just competing against myself.
Yeah.
But occasionally I do play in tournaments where you could potentially win something. I almost didn't want to play because
Yeah.
every time I went out, I would shoot 100 and I would be like crying. Not really, just mad. I don't cry. I just would get mad.
See, my bad habits were I just kept hitting the ground, or I'd hit the ball and it would go backwards somehow. I don't
Those are
know.
called party tricks.
Party tricks. I'm real good at party tricks.
Yes, because I always tell people I am the best person to go play golf with because I used to only play with my 7-iron. So I can completely appreciate what it is like to get frustrated on the golf course.
Mhm.
And it took a long time to not get mad or frustrated because obviously it's not my job, it's a hobby. And
Yeah.
my husband would joke around and say, you know what, your name's not on your bag and this is not your career, so settle down. And I'm like, that's right, my name is not on my bag.
like that. Your
This
name's
is not
not on your
my
bag.
it is not my career, settle down. You're out here to have a good time or sometimes enjoy the scenery.
Alrighty, that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, you want to learn more about Family Promise and how you can help, visit the show notes. The link is going to be in the description. That's where you can find all of the information, all the social medias. Everything is going to be right there. Make sure you give this video a like, comment, subscribe, share with all your friends. Hit that bell icon to stay notified every time we post a new video. If you have any questions, you can always reach out, send an email or an Instagram DM. Thank you guys so much for being on. It was a pleasure to
Thanks for having us. It was
chat
super
with y'all
fun.
today.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys next time on Coffee with Zach.
Peace.
Okay.
Perfect.
That does it for the episode.
Cool. I'm not going to say it. You can edit that out. I'll behave. Oh, for the love of George. Get away from here. Stinker. Oh my goodness gracious. I know you didn't expect me to scream.
Is this recording? I swear this isn't recording. I'm just...
You're going to be so sad. Oh my gosh. Well, I have a story about golf that
these are still rolling. That's going in the bloopers.
when, that's so funny. Grab Tiff.
Ready? Yeah.
She should be. Did she? Tiffany! Tiffany looks like she just went to, like the beauty salon. This is awesome coffee.
Is it?
If my husband wasn't a golfer, and he is really a golfer. I mean, that's what he's doing right now. He says, what are you doing today? I'm like, you don't need to know. You're golfing. Goodbye. No. Try as I might. Nay, nay. That's
Like
shocking
over a
because...
year. Oh, that's a GoPro.
Is it,
That one's dying. That's fine.
does it need to be plugged in?